Sometimes in life we tend to forget one of the most important things, and that's remembering every single day is a journey. Every single day is an opportunity to learn. Every single day is an opportunity to grow. Every moment in life, somewhere deep inside, there's a lesson in that moment. I say that to say, sometimes when it comes to our gift, our passion, our love, the thing that we feel like we are meant to do, meant to be a part of, we forget that throughout the journey, throughout the process, that same love, that same passion, that same gift can come in a different form than what you initially thought it would be or even look like. Take this for an example. If you grow up wanting to be a head chef, like this is your dream. You want to be a head chef of a 5-star immaculate restaurant. Throughout your journey, you might have a difference as far as exactly what you want to do with your love and with your passion. You might grow a new love for something while in the journey of trying to, get closer to your passion. You might want to be a head chef, or you might want to own your own catering business. Or you might want to work in a soup kitchen. Same industry, different positions. You see the title of the episode. I want to shout out to my guest for stepping into the room. I want to tell you guys too much about what we spoke about. I don't want to give it away. But this is part 1. Just like always, I'm Desmond Bonet. This is The Room, where having a healthy mind is priority.
One of us is on the ground, oh Lord. Same shit, different toilet, now this is evident. Same politics, promises, and new presidents. And we ain't get shit yet, but harsher sentences. Ridiculous. Yo, since 91 I've been ready to be a cop killer. Since Rodney King cops walked off on camera, footage indisputable, question mark doable. Burden the truth is on.
And now we here to welcome my big brother, my big homie, the man of the hour. He goes by the name of Nino The Kid. You just heard, actually that was his voice you just heard. S3-004 edition. Just saying, gotta promote, man. Nino, how you feeling, brother?
I'm alright, bro. I'm alright. Thanks for having me, bro.
Man, no problem, no problem. Oh, man, I gotta mention this. Shout out to you. Shout out to Nino's sister. I kind of forgot the name. I don't want to mess it up. Kathleen Ataya. They had me on Loud in the theater. It was a fun experience. I'm going to have the link down below. I was on it. Make sure you listen to that episode and also track back to the previous episodes and continue on following their journey. I promise it's fire. Loud in the theater. That's all I got to say. The title. I don't even got to tell you what it's about. But you hear that title and you're like, it's dope. It's dope.
You already know what it is when you hear the title. We gets loud. We talks about it. We talks our shit.
Definitely, man. Now, if you've been a part of the series, I'm pretty sure you done heard me speak about Nino before, once, twice, maybe even more than that, man. And I always tell you off camera, your story is extensive. Like, you got an extensive story. And I know you like to think of yourself as, quote unquote, kind of like a nobody, so you feel like the story's not important. But I'm here to tell you, it's important. Especially here, it's very important, man. You guys see the title of the episode, so I don't gotta, really elaborate too much on that. Nino has been around for a long time. He's done a lot of things as far as on a professional level. And, some things in the streets, as we all have, is just what happens with growing up in the inner cities, man. But I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let you get into your story and just, let the people know who Nino The Kid is, man.
I mean, my story is pretty basic. Like, I'm a Bronx-born baby. Bronx-born, running those streets. You already know what time that is. So, I came up in the Bronx. My dad, he pretty much, he was a workaholic. So I saw him seldomly, when he wasn't refereeing games or doing his jazz thing. My mom, she was in and out of many different, she's like certified to do everything. So, I mean, one thing that all of them, my mom, my dad, my grandfather, everybody had in common was either they had a love for art. Like, whether it was painting, drawing, music, one or the other, or the instruments, one or the other. So it just came in the blood that music was going to be my thing. It just came in the blood. It wasn't even something I was trying to do. It just so happened to be one day in school, that just was the cool thing to do. Everybody was either doing beats on the table, doing beatbox, or you had the bars. So I started out as the dude doing the beats on the table. For some reason, my hands with a pencil in it just made those beats sound right. It just came off dope. And one day, it turned into a thing where some dude, I'll never forget his name was Kareem. Out of nowhere, he's rapping, and then he just started dissing everybody that's standing around the table, including the dude making the beats, which was me. And I had bars, but I was scared to present them at the time, so I didn't really want to go into it with him back and forth. But it ended up turning into one of those things. It was just like, I went home, practiced in the mirror for about 2 or 3 days, and the next time I seen Kareem in the lunchroom, it was like, all right, I got you. Yo, Kareem, come spit, bro.
What age was that? What's your
this had to be about like 6th grade. So I said it had to be about 12, 13, somewhere around there. Just like, this is around there. But I mean, before that, my cousin Joyce, or Pat, one of the two. Yeah, my cousin Joyce, she was singing, she used to sing backup for Luther Vandross. So I used to get to see her do her thing. Plus, she was an Apollo award. She was an Apollo amateur night winner. So I got to see her do her thing with that, and basically in church. And then my cousin Ellis, he was Mr. Big from Soul Sonic Force. So he used to take me around, and this is when I was a tyke. I had to be like 6, 7 years old. So he used to take me around, a lot of dudes that he used to know in the game. And when they was writing these songs and putting songs together or developing artists, I was standing right there. So, he kept me around for stuff like that. And before I knew it, I was the little dude who was, trying to spit my little flows amongst the heavy hitters, amongst the big heads. For me, for looking back at it, I know now it's like, that was cute. He got a little future. They pump you up or whatever. But I didn't think about it as a thing that I was gonna do. I didn't think that I was gonna have the love that I have for it today. So once everything was set in stone, at least at that point, because it was never really set in stone until I was damn near 20. Damn near 20 years old is when I really said, all right, I'm gonna take rap seriously. I'm gonna see what I can do. And lo and behold, things worked out the way it was supposed to work out. I met a lot of good people. At one time, I was living on Fratelli, up in the Bronx by Bronxdale Projects, and Drag On from Rough Riders lived right there. So I used to see him on a regular basis. I knew him before DMX dropped his shit, and then this thing came out. I didn't even know he could rap. When he was talking, he was a stutterer, so I didn't even know he rapped. He was just mad cool. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those dudes who always had a bottle. He stayed positive. He was never in the drama. So every time I see him, it was like it was a what up thing, but he always kept a few little dudes around him. And all of them had like an exquisite talent for rap. And there was one dude named Dre. Dre was just like bonkers. He never wrote a bar in his life. Never wrote a bar in his life. And in order for me to be able to go to, they had a barbershop on St. Lawrence. So it was like a barbershop / studio / tattoo spot. And in order for me to get in there and be able to, showcase my shit and feel cool with these dudes and feel in with the Rough Riders, like these are Rough Riders. At this time, like Rough Riders is the game. Like everybody want to be either Rough Rider, Rockefeller, Nori was popping, then that what that shit was on the radio every 5 seconds, so when
if you don't know anything he's talking about, I'm gonna need you to pause this video right now, open another tab, go to YouTube, type in Rough Riders, type in Drag On, and understand what this really means, man.
Those dudes was moving. So Drag, he pretty much took a bunch of little dudes out in the hood up under the wing. Like, if you nice, show me. So sure enough, the dude to battle was Dre. So there was dudes in front of him that you had to battle or at least be able to hold your own in a cypher with. I didn't even pay them niggas no mind, like none whatsoever. Because everybody else in the neighborhood that knew me, they knew that I could spit. So they knew that they was like, yo, this nigga's nice. But he'd be scared. That was the thing about me. Like he nice, but he be scared. So you gotta put him in a position where he gotta defend himself. And sure,
At one time, like my confidence was low with rap. Like I wanted to do beats. Like I was a beatbox kid. Like I did beatbox. Like I used to sit there and listen to Dougie Fresh. Like how the fuck does his mouth move like this? Like how does his face like you know what I'm saying? Like he's putting together a whole symphony of instruments with his mouth. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was dope. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it was other artists out there that was doing the same thing, like the Fat Boys, you know, um, um, my man Bismarck, all of them was doing like a little something. Everybody had like their own little sound effects that they was doing in the 80s. So I was still carrying that. That was something I was still carrying into the 90s. So when this whole situation, you know, when I had to get up and battle Dre, you know, I was like, yo, I can't go out there with just any old bars. Like I gotta sit there and be calculating because Dre didn't write. He had a talent for making words that didn't rhyme,
Mm.
and it was just like
It's like with Eminem. I don't
right. He'll
know how
he'll
you
do anything. Like he'll throw an accent behind the word just to get it to fit, and it will come so naturally to him. So I knew that whatever I did, I had to come and I had to be, you know what I'm saying? I had to put my shit on front. And sure enough, we get out there, we battle, and I think the first round, like Dre went first. The first round, like I ain't gonna front. His first round had me shook. I was like, damn, I don't know if I could hold it. But I was like, fuck it. I spent all this time writing. I'm not gonna stand here and we in the street now. So this is not like, you know, this ain't the lunchroom. Like the lunchroom, you go home eventually. This the street. So you outside. Every time you step outside, no matter if you're going to school, you're going to the store, you gotta go through the street to get there. So sure enough, I battled Dre. His first round was crazy. I ain't gonna front, it was a good battle altogether. It was probably the most nervous I've ever been in a music situation. And
who
we
won?
went at it. Nobody that day dragged, nobody that was in the hood that was like, yo, who won, who didn't win. Everybody was like, yo, y'all just turned it up. Like the whole block was you know, remembering what we did. So, but there was never no, oh, who won this and who won that up until Drag took us to the barbershop. Once we went to that barbershop on St. Lawrence, we and Dre, we ended up, I thought it was just a cipher. So we just spitting bars back and forth, and it's like four other people there, and I'm watching the way Dre's moving. Like the way he's moving is I need to shut everybody up in the cipher. So after he spit, a lot of dudes were so stuck on, oh damn, that nigga said that shit.
Mm.
I just kept coming with more bars. I just kept coming with more flows. And before I knew it, I was the last man standing. Dre ran out of rhymes. I ain't gonna say he ran out of rhymes, but I guess he just got tired of trying. You know what I'm saying? It just turned into a thing where he gave me a dap and walked off. The beats was still playing. I was still rhyming. And before I knew it, Drag was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna fuck with you. And I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna say it took like, you know, it was something that took the whole, you know, mad years of knowing Drag and being around him and up under that. Nah, it was more or less like I saw the nigga when I saw the nigga, especially when I saw him in an environment that I wanted to be in, such as that barbershop. I wanted to be in there. That was the spot to be in. I wanted to be in there. So, you know, he brought me in. He was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck with you. And sure enough, you know, he introduced me to some people, took me to some studios, had me battling a few cats. I ain't gonna lie, I took a few L's because it was when on that level, I didn't know the levels, how the levels went up. You know, when it's not street battling no more. You know what I'm saying? And being on the street, it was just dudes who knew how to rap. It wasn't necessarily nobody who was trying to do nothing with it. Everybody was hustling, grinding, doing what they do on the other side. You know, rap was that was for special people. We was nobody was looking for that. So when he put me in an audience where everybody in there was like, yo, I got this talent and I want to do something with it. I want to be bigger than, you know, the lyrics that I'm spitting. The lyrics that I'm spitting is just my story. I want to be bigger than that.
Mm.
And these dudes was, you know, they spit in their story. They're articulate. They're calculating the way they put it all together. And these is dudes they don't get into a cipher and quit.
they don't get stuck on your last rhyme.
Was this around the time, if I'm not mistaken, was this around the time where, because I know I've seen it, as far as documentaries and things like that, they talked about to even come up to a certain level within Rough Riders, it's like a whole fleet of people that you have to battle.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So it was, and it was dudes that you didn't even they wasn't necessarily signed to Rough Riders. They was just fan, or they was just dudes who was just around, and everybody knew that they had talent in their respected hoods. So it was plenty of times I be thinking, yo, where we going today? Oh, we going to Brooklyn for what? Ain't the studio in Brooklyn? Who out there in Brooklyn? What we doing in Brooklyn? Oh no, it's some shit we going out there to check out. And then we get there, and then it's like, yo, son, that nigga say he got bars over there, so we need to know what's up. All right, go over there, spit with the nigga, and then I was never the one that I wasn't as battle hungry as they were. Like this was the nature, but I wasn't as battle hungry yet. I was just still having fun with words. Like this was just hip hop to me. This shit was just fun. Like the culture, the aggression, you know what I'm saying, the passion that people put into the bars that they wrote. All of that right there to me was more than enough. Like so, I wasn't as battle hungry as they were. So they actually developed that shit in me. Like before I knew it, once I had won a few, you know what I'm saying, or shut down a few ciphers and won a few battles that was like up front, like yo, you battling this dude. Because a lot of times they just put you in a cipher, like, yeah, yo, spit some balls, yo, hear my man too. But you ain't realize it, that's a battle. You know what I'm saying? You went to somebody else's hood, his man is presenting him, this dude is presenting me. This is a battle. But we don't know we battling. It's the two niggas who sat there and had the conversation like, yo, you gotta meet my man. Nah, you gotta meet my man's. Like, my man's a clap your man's in a minute. So we didn't know these conversations took place until, we standing in front of each other and we going back and forth, and then we looking at the reactions like, didn't I tell you? I told you this little nigga got something. I told you. You better tell your man. And then it turns up with that. Once it turned up with that, then it went from fun to I don't know nothing about this dude, but I gotta clap him as best as I can. You know what I'm saying? So I was always the dude in the cipher with the thick ass glasses. You know what I'm saying? I didn't hustle as hard as everybody else, so my glasses was from Medicaid, like Lens Craft Herbs. You hear me? Like herbs. You hear me? So that was like a target. Like that shit was just like a bullseye on my face. So as soon as the battle started, that was the first thing niggas started calling me, especially, fucking Steve Urkel was fucking popular at that time. So I was everything Urkel and anything with glasses, Cyclops, all of that. So it became repetitive. All of the jokes was repetitive. Nobody could put together any jokes that was any original anymore. Like you're hearing an original joint, like feeling in between. You know what I'm saying, like every 4 months I hear something that was brand new, some shit that I didn't already hear in school and fucking lunchroom. And those are the dudes that caught my respect. Those are the dudes that caught my eye. Other than them, it was like, all right, same jokes, got you. And then I start ripping on everything else in your life. And it don't even have to be true. I don't have to know you. I don't have to know nothing about you. Just being able to say to somebody like, simple shit like, yo, I took your mother to the zoo the other day. They gave me a reward and said, thanks for bringing the bitch back. Like simple shit like that, like would turn things up because you know what I'm saying? These are things you're not prepared for. Like these are dudes who came there with their best clothes on, their best jewelry. Like they for just and they on their block. I wasn't staying. Nobody came to my block to battle me. My name wasn't that big. So these are dudes that Drag knew of or his peoples knew of, and it was like, yo, you gotta come meet this dude. Like he's holding it down in this hood. Don't nobody want to battle him in this hood. Blase blah. He's nice. I was just taking trips, and before I knew it, without drag, I was doing it by myself. Like I'd hear about rappers anywhere, and all right, we gotta go down there. We gotta go see what's up, and go to people hood, and I'll go there with all love. Like I go there with show peace. Like, yo, what's up, man? I heard there was some nice battlers. I heard some nice rappers over here, man. I'm trying to put something together, bro. Before you know it, just hearing the words like rappers, people start battling. It gets open from that moment on. Like that was it. And this is like late 90s. So everybody was getting open on that. And then there was certain people that didn't want to fuck with a nigga like me because I was from the Bronx. So Brooklyn niggas didn't really want to fuck with me like that. They was like, we ain't fucking with them shiesty ass Bronx niggas. They be doing the dirt. Queens, they was just like, nah, no. But you know what I'm saying? It was certain parts of Brooklyn that was dope. Like, cause a lot of I used to respect I had more respect for Brooklyn rappers than I did anywhere else. Like I battled in Harlem, and you know, there's a lot of good talent in Harlem. I'm not gonna say it's not. It's a lot of good talent in Harlem, but at that time, they was trapped in a loop of money, cash, hoes. So all they rhymes sounded money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes. That was the loop they was stuck in. Nowadays, like there's a whole different, you know what I'm saying, it's a whole different mode out of there.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Brooklyn rappers were different because it was so many coaches in Brooklyn, especially the dominant black coaches when it came to Jamaicans and Haitians and Africans and all of this, and all of these people coming in and they finding that peaceful place in hip hop where you know they feel comfortable writing rhymes, they feel comfortable making beats. They, you know, no matter what stretch of life they came from, like they brought whatever um knowledge that comes from their culture with them into hip hop. So it was dudes that I battle and every word that came out of their mouth was like mad smart. Like they be preaching that, you know, 5% of shit and talking that Muslim God body shit. Like, and that to me was a different lane because I was so used to hearing everybody just talking about packs, gats, you know, hoes. You know, it was regular. It was regular shit. You know what I'm saying?
There's no wide range of content back then.
Right. So Brooklyn though, a lot of Brooklyn's artists at that time, especially the ones that wasn't, you know, and I say it like there was artists in Brooklyn at that time that should have been signed. Like so many of them walking around that should have been signed, but the game was on this lockdown. You know, Rockefeller had everything, Def Jam had everything. You know, this game was on this lockdown. It was on some, you know, depending on who you know, you could get in, and depending on who you don't, you can't. You know what I'm saying? So basically, Brooklyn just had a bunch of these crazy intellectual hip hop artists. I mean, if you want to classify them as book bag rappers, you can, but they were just crazy intellectuals. Like they knew how to write a story. They understood, you know, a song structure. They understood plots. They understood this early. These are things that they was understanding early in the game when in opposed to, you know, other places in the city that, you know, was just how tough can you sound? How many different ways can you tell me you're gonna kill me? You know what I'm saying? How many different ways can you tell me about you whipping that pot? How many different ways can you talk about you busting that chick ass? Like it was, you know what I'm saying? That was pretty much the boroughs. Like, but Brooklyn had this own set, this criteria that kind of took it a step further. Like I never heard a rap without curse words until I started rapping in Brooklyn. And that was a challenge to a bunch of street kids. Like, yo, I want to hear you put together something and don't curse. I don't want to hear the word nigga. I don't want to hear no word, no curse words. And these are probably some of the dopest verses I heard in my life at that time. And
I
they
mean, listen, you don't got a curse in every song.
exactly, exactly. But you know, mainstream music had you thinking that if you, unless your name was Will Smith, you wasn't gonna sell no album without cuss words.
Very true. Very
You know
true.
what I'm saying? So mainstream music had a different set of rules, at least from the outside looking in, from a fan standpoint. You know, because I always considered myself a fan at the end of the day. No matter who I met and who I ended up around, I always considered myself a fan. And this is all before, all of this is happening before I turned 18.
Mm.
You know, this
This
is all of
is all between the ages of, because you said the sixth grade, so that's what,
I
11,
say,
12 years old.
yeah, 11, 12, and
So
up
between
until I
that,
was like 17.
mm,
So, you know, and I just stayed in the wind. I just stayed up in everybody's face. That's when I started. Like I said, when drag put me on and he started putting me in people's faces to battle and so forth, and then I started doing it on my own. Like my confidence at that time was like real high. I was walking around feeling like Cassidy. Like I just went through. You know, Cassidy had a million battles and didn't take no O's. You know what I'm saying? I had 8, and I was like, nigga, I'm the greatest. You feel me? Like, like everywhere I stood, I had hero win. You couldn't tell me I wasn't the shit. So at that time I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go everywhere and I'm gonna battle everybody. I'm gonna see. I had that Goku spirit. Like I just wanted to see all of the best that the city had to offer that nobody had heard about because I already knew it was on the radio and I was taking their beats and doing better songs with it. So I knew it was on the radio. I wasn't impressed by that. There was certain artists on the radio that definitely did hold an impression on me. Like Nas, Hove. You know what I'm saying? Even Nori, not I ain't gonna say Nori a little bit, but more so Capone. Capone, CNN, Nori, that, what I'm saying? Capone really had me turned up. Onyx, like all of them, you know what I'm saying? They had a different, even Keith Murray, Cannabis. Cannabis was so technical and I found out a lot of other shit about his rap flow later, but at that time he was so technical and he was introducing words into hip hop. And then I started noticing that's what I started paying attention to. That's what really started making me turn heads.
Let me ask you a question before you continue. Being that you had somewhat of a close relationship with Dragon, would you say that he's one of your influences, or you never really seen him in that light? Not to say that it's a bad thing.
I definitely thank him for the platform. I never really, because at that time I didn't look at Drag as, because he never rapped with me. He didn't rap with us. You know what I'm saying? We was the little niggas then. So if we did catch him rapping, it was just because we were spectating a cipher he was in. So, and the way he took, the way he, made his stance in a cipher was like, yo, I'm drag on, I'm fire. I'm gonna spit some fire shit and then I'm gonna walk off. I don't care how you feel. You know what I'm saying? That was just pretty much his standpoint. Like he wasn't, he didn't have the he had he had the Don King spirit, and he embedded in us that Tyson spirit. Like we ended up becoming fighters in hip hop. So he just put us in a fight and we had to do what we had to do. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't just him, it was other dudes around him too. You know what I'm saying? So one day we'll be with Drag, the next minute we'll be with Kurt, the next minute we'll be with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And then full circle, a week and a half later, here comes Drag back and we chilling again. And you know what I'm saying? He's smoking blunts that I would never roll, for the simple fact that he put the whole dime in there. I'm trying to get like 3 L's out of that dime. You know what I'm saying? So, and them shits will put your ass to sleep if you're not used to smoking like that. So I end up hitting his L like 2 or 3 times, and then we get into these ciphers, and I learned my lesson early because I thought I could smoke with the nigga. And we get to the cipher, I'm on the chair, man, like, and nigga hit me with it early, like, yo, nobody sleeps in the studio. Nobody sleeps in the studio. You sleep in the studio, bro, you better be putting together something, or you gotta have money in here. Nobody sleeps in the studio for free. And he said that, literally the music stopped, everybody turned heads, looked dead at me, and that was the last time I fell asleep in the studio. And it became a rule of thumb for me. Like, I've never fell asleep in the studio after that day. Unless I'm in there. Like, I'm locked in. It's been 24 hours. I'm locked in. Never fell asleep in the studio.
This is my first time like hearing like this far back of your story, and a lot is making sense as to how you operate, man.
Word, right?
A lot is making sense. A lot is making sense, man.
So, with that, like like I said, they put us in a position to be animals. Like, they wanted us to be the best of what we could be, and then once we was there and we built that confidence up, the only thing left to do was to nurture it ourselves, because they let it be known, like, we don't feed niggas around here. You know what I'm saying? So whatever we set you up for, you gotta put your weight up. You gotta put your work in. Don't think you're gonna sit here and live off the next nigga or anything like that. That's not how things is moving. Like, they let it be known, and individuals will tell you that themselves, because you started seeing individuals coming up, and they start, it's little celebrations. We popping bottles for a dude who just signed a contract, and then he ends up getting shelved, but we still celebrated for him. You know what I'm saying? And then the big thing comes up. The label gets signed, and then now everybody's celebrating now. And then the one thing somebody had mentioned to us, like, yo, just remember, everybody in here represents what we represent. But as far as the legal terms is concerned, like, everybody is not needed to represent. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes to legal, you know what I'm saying? All that legal shit. Def Jam does not represent you niggas. So don't be walking up to the Def Jam doors like I'm Rough Rider, I'm Rough Rider, nigga. You're not.
Mm.
Because they ain't signed you. That you know what I'm saying? They was letting us know the rules and all of that shit. So, I learned a lot from them and I paid attention. And there was other things that, you know what I'm saying, they pretty much just let us, you know, develop on our own. So they gave us the freedom to write. There was never a time when you go to somebody and be like, yo, how this sound? And they'll ignore you because your shit was whack the last time they heard you. They'll hear you out and tell you straight to your face that shit was dead trash. If this is what you want to do, like they'll give you stupid ass tips. Like go watch Scarface. Like stupid shit to say, go watch Scarface, go watch Boys in the Hood. You know what I'm saying? Go outside and pick a fight with somebody and then tell me about that fight. Like they'll pick dumb shit like yo, and they'll tell you like your bars are regular. Like I don't hear nothing extra. I don't hear nothing that excites me about it. Like that could be real. You know what I'm saying? So me, I never wanted to hear that. Never wanted to hear those words come from nobody about my shit. And I just did my best to write that unusual. My man used to say to me all the time, like everybody has a category, and there's always that category on the application that says other. And he used to tell me, "You're other. We don't know where to place you're other." So I figured, fuck it. Why not stay there? Because other's better than rapper. Other's better than freestyler. Because then it puts you in a box. You just known for what you're known for. So I wanted to write. I wanted to produce. I wanted to get my fingers wet in the whole situation. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to do everything.
So it's
You know,
safe
so,
to say that you always saw yourself as an all-around artist versus just being the rapper.
right. I always I always felt that way because I always felt like I brought more to the table. Like my dad was a jazz musician for a while, played the piano. He did a couple of poetry slams. He writes, so I get a lot of my talent from him. And one of the things he had told me one time was, um, it's he told me it was gonna get repetitive with me in music because I'm gonna find myself in a situation where there's always gonna be dudes who's gonna find themselves getting on, but they ain't gonna have half the talent as you. And when you find yourself in that situation, you're not gonna dumb yourself down. And when you don't dumb yourself down, you're not gonna be as attractive as you as a dummy. And he told me that there's an opposite to that too, where you're not the smartest person in the room, where you are the dummy, and you have to learn from these people. But just know that people with knowledge are arrogant. People with knowledge ain't willing at that time, especially people with knowledge are arrogant. People with knowledge aren't willing to share it without a price. They want a piece of you for that knowledge. And
Mhm.
everything he was saying was true. Like, and I didn't understand it at the moment until I say like fast forward. I had moved up to Rochester, New York, my mom's. And I was going hard with rap out there. Nobody had ever heard of me. They as far as I knew, they only had like one club, and it was this club called Club Red. I went there and I did a freestyle, got into a freestyle battle and I choked. And some niggas snatched the mic out of my hand. And I think at this time I had to be about eight. I think I just turned 19, or I was like, I'm still 18 or something. So they snatched the mic out of my hand. It goes bonkers. And the reason I choked is because the mic cut off. So I didn't hear myself through the speakers. So I paused like, yo, what's up? And dude just snatched the mic and it looked like I choked.
Oh,
You know what I'm
God.
saying? So and he just went in. And then he didn't even use the mic. He threw it on the floor and just started screaming his raps. So I was like, oh, this is how it goes down out here. This is jungle out here. Okay,
So he was
got
trying
you.
to show you nothing stops it. Okay.
Right. I'm saying no monkey stopped the show. And I learned that day. That day. So like I said, we moved out to Rochester and I had been going so crazy. Me and my cousin Jamar, we had a song out together. Um, I think it was what was the name of that song? Somebody Lying. And the song was fire. Labels was calling, trying to buy the song. They was trying to get rid of this shit because they didn't want this shit to go out. We was crushed so many of the artists. And this is just off that one song. Like, and the shit was called Somebody Lying. I don't even think this shit made it to digital. Like, this is still, we still walking around with that. know what I'm saying, with dat tapes to do performances and shit like that. So, yo, the song was fire. Anyway, I had reached out, or more or less, I had got in contact with somebody from a couple of different major labels, and one in particular, I ain't gonna throw their name out there, but one in particular, they asked me, during the meeting, and it was like, yo, you know what, you don't got how much jail time you got on you, like how many times you got locked up. And I had never really did no years or nothing like that. Like I did a couple of months here or there, or weekends here or there. It was never like a summer here or there. It was never like I could say I did mad years back to back. I did it strong. Da, 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 da. I can't say none of that shit. So when nigga hit me with the, well, how much drugs you how much drugs you sell in your hood? Like niggas know you for that? Like you how much weight you move? Nigga, I sold weed, I sold crack occasionally. That was a game I was in and out of like 2 months. Made my money and I was dope and I was gone. Went back to weed and let that shit sustain. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So them hearing shit like that, it was like, oh, you played it safe. Like, nah, we need a gangster. We need a young gangster. You got the bars to be a young gangster, but we gotta mold it. We gotta make the story believable. And I'm like, the fuck you mean believable? Like, well, we could put you on, like we can have you go, you know what I'm saying? You get locked up. You know what I'm saying? We'll hold you down, hold your family down while you there. When you come home, just know you coming home to this contract. Just know you coming home to this bread. Just know you coming home to this. Just that. And I'm like, well, how long I gotta be locked up for? Well, hold on a minute, because I don't know if I want to be locked up. Like, like these are all like thoughts, like, and they're like, well, it's a cost for certain shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in here done either been shot, and everybody in here done been they done did time, everybody in here hustle, everybody in here grind, this nigga over here pimping, da, 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 da. Everybody had a gimmick. You know what
I
I'm saying?
mean, I know you said you don't want to, no mention that. I'm gonna respect it, but I do have to ask, man. What? You don't gotta say the label, but like, just what year frame was it?
This
This was
is this is two this is 2000. This is 2000.
year 2000.
This is 2000. So,
Crazy. You hear
hearing all.
my bad. You hear a lot of people talk about these things now, and because we're not physically in the industry, no one can really tell. Everybody is just kind of spectating, assuming, and kind of just coming up with whatever. So once again, this is why I believe everybody's story, no matter what that story entails, is important. You'll never know what you'll find out.
So, they tried to make me a criminal and all of that shit, but I tried to explain to them. I was like, one, that ain't gonna. I can't do that. Like that's it is what it is. I'm cool with what I'm saying, rapping like a G. You know what I'm saying, but I don't know if I want to go to jail and live the horrible parts of their lives. If I want to be if you're gonna call me a G, why can't I be a G who just never got caught? You know what I'm saying? We could call, and I'm pitching ideas like, yo, we could call it NBC, and they're like, what? NBC,
Cool.
never been caught. This is what we doing, y'all. They're like, nah, nigga. We need a nigga who's been in jail and we could prove it. We need a nigga who sell that weight and we could prove it. We need a nigga, if you say you killed somebody on a record, we don't need to prove it, but we definitely need to say, yo, niggas is scared of you in your hood.
That's that's so crazy. Like, I know this is for another episode, but that's crazy.
Yo, so leaving there to feel, and then when you walk around a office like that and everybody has been conditioned for this behavior and they're not realizing that this is the image that, this is just the image that they're trying to sell. But these people are getting engulfed in it and they're really walking around like this. So at that time, especially, it was a lot of artists a lot of rappers in the game that was losing their life, battling. Shit didn't stay on wax. It couldn't stay in the studio. Things would get, misconstrued. Somebody get on a song and say something about somebody's child or their girl or their moms, and people was losing their lives behind music. You know what I'm saying? So battle rap became scarier. You know, um, but since I was coming up in that culture, it wasn't as scary to me because it just was always that kind of tension in the building. If you was the nigga that was gonna stand across from me, or if I gotta stand across from you, there's on both sides of that field. I don't care how nice you are, there's gonna be some tension because I don't know who you got with you. You don't know who I got with me. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how I'm gonna take what you say to me. You don't know what's under my shirt and vice versa. So that kind of tension just came with the battlefield. and I was comfortable in it. I was comfortable with that kind of tension. Now, if had they put me in a position where it was like, all right, we just want you to battle a bunch of different rappers, that would have been something I did already. So I was with it. But this was a whole new movement. Right now, it was all about just being as gangster as possible. Like, how gangster can you possibly be and not be from Chicago? You know what I'm saying? Like, how we want you to be the most gangster as you could possibly be, especially you coming from the Bronx, you're coming from the East Coast. And they were throwing shit like that in my head, like, yo, you gotta hold the Bronx down. Don't forget that's the birthplace. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hold it down. So you gotta be a G about it. Like if there's gonna be people that's gonna press you about your lyrics, and you gotta hold the Bronx down. And I'm like, nigga, the Bronx ain't here, it's me. I'm here. Like the Bronx just bred this. I'm here though. You know what I'm saying? So it was always like one of those situations where am I street enough? Like it had me, and then the dudes that was in there, that was walking around super hard. This is according to them, this was how black people supposed to be. So you gotta walk around super hard, pat. Your pants had to be like, just above your knees. You know what I'm saying? You had to have your chain swinging your dick. You know what I'm saying? This to them was to them that was black excellence. Like at that time, that was black excellence. We just getting money and perpetuating whatever it is that they want us to perpetuate. That was the criteria of black excellence.
Money, hoes, and cars. That was real
Right.
big back then.
Right. And it was a loop. It was a lot of hip hop was stuck in it. You know what I'm saying? And anybody who was coming along with a new idea was not gonna be involved. You have to do that shit independently and you're gonna be local. And they'll make sure that you stay that way until things open up again. So, you know, um later on, I hooked up with this dude, Billy, out in Rochester. He was this dude, he signed me up to Sterling Records. So I would go to the studio with him, and Billy put me on to three other dudes and put me in a group called Marvelous. So it was me, my man P Dunn, Jay Chamberlain, and God, what's this dude's name? What's his brother name? Bay Bentley. So my nigga Bay and PJ, like PJ and Jay James, them two was like best friends. They grew up in the hood together. Me and Bent, I'm actually met him at a GED school. Like man, we both trying to get our shit together, and I met him there. But and we would sit there and outside the school, like during the lunch break, the whole time all we would do is just rap bars back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So when these dudes walked into the studio and it was like, that's my nigga. And then I meet PJ and I meet Jay James, and one of my mans, Mike, he had put us all together, and Billy put it, you know what I'm saying? All of us ended up in this group. Um, so we started doing a lot of open mics, a lot of talent shows and shit like that, and all around Rochester and a lot of upstate New York. And we had got noticed by some scout that was with 550 Records. And 550 at that time had Timberland Missy, Genuine, Aaliyah. Um, it was several artists, that was on that side, but it was mostly R&B artists that was really flourishing out of that camp. So I always had different ideas for music that a lot of people just was not fucking with. Like if for some reason they just was not hearing singing rappers at that time, like that shit just did not resonate with nobody, especially if you could write the song and if it could get produced properly, then it could work. But a lot of producers didn't know how to make that work, and a lot of agents did not know how to build around that kind of an image. You know what I'm saying? So it was a hard thing to do. So if you presented it, they looked at you funny. Like it was one or the other. You either gonna rap or you gonna sing. One or the other. Like you can't do both. That's not they don't have a contract built for that yet. So um I got on 550. They did the co-sign with us, and 550 immediately started having us open up shows because we just had the energy. We was all hungry. We just had this energy, and we was opening up shows for people who was probably just as next to nobody as we were, but you know what I'm saying, they were headlining wherever they was at. So we'll get there to their show, open up, and we would go off. We would do every show like it was our last. Like we would get on stage and just bomb out. Like everything we did. Like we just had mad fun. And then we'll get backstage and you'll think that this was $100 million tour. Like we'll be praying and all kinds of shit, holding hands and shit like that, and doing our best to stay sober because at that time we was all trying some shit. I was in my experimental stage, so we was all trying some shit. So um more or less, they shipped us out. We ended up doing a European tour. So the tours, I can't even remember like all the spots that we touched and all the different, you know what I'm saying. But when we got there, we did the first three shows that we did. We just did them at regular rinky dink clubs. I ain't gonna say rinky dink. They were small venues. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, when you
Chilling circle.
stand
You know,
right,
chilling circle.
right. So when you standing on stage and you look out and there's 12 motherfuckers there, say to you like, damn, I flew all the way across the fucking country to see 12 motherfuckers at my show. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So, um, but we had a dude that was like, he was like incredible when it come to promoting anything. Like this nigga could sell light bulbs on the sun. Like this nigga was incredible at selling shit. Like he could just promote anything. So our first three shows was like real light. And we did a bomb ass show. We got picked up to do another show that just kind of like opened up the door for us because we were supposed to be there for about, I think we were supposed to stay up there for like 4 months. And all of these shows that we was doing was pretty much just based out of the label just wanting to see what we can do on our own because the US circuit was so clogged up with just gangster rappers. Like we were bar heads. You know what I'm saying? The New York circuit was just clogged up with a lot of different shit. You know what I'm saying? I said the U.S. circuit period like was just clogged up, and then not only that, it was so many lanes. It was a lot of beef between labels, and they basically locked the doors to any new artists. So all of the artists that had been pumping was gonna continue to pump out, and you wasn't gonna hear no new shit from no new artists coming out. So unless the artist on the label decide, oh, I'm gonna branch off, start my own label, and then I'm gonna bring my team under me. That was the only way you heard, new artists. Um, so we get on with them, and pretty much we do the a few shows, and we get picked up. One night we in a show, and that night, we didn't even realize it. That night we opened up for Slick Rick. He was doing like a best of show. Slick. Everybody know who Slick Rick is. If you've ever heard,
Oh,
what's
man.
that song?
A
Huh?
lot, daddy.
Yeah, Lottie
Everybody
Dottie.
know that, man.
We like the you can't be a hip hop. You can't be in hip hop if you don't know that song. I'm saying you can't be in hip hop if you don't know that
A
song.
lot of
So
a lot of great things came from that song. What's a melody that I know everybody would know? It's all because
because
of you.
of you,
I'm
I'm
feeling
feeling
sad
sad
and blue.
and
Come
blue.
on, man.
Like you gotta know that song. So
Definitely.
um he was doing a show that night, and we opened up, but we didn't realize we was opening for Slick Rick that night. And Babe Bentley was a super fan of Slick Rick.
As he
Like
should be.
us,
As he
right?
should be.
He was a super fan. Like I was a fan too, but I was a fan on basically, you know what I'm saying, on just what I've heard. Like no, I'd never bought a Slick Rick album at that time. So um when we get on, like we do our set, we open up the show, we do our set. um we get the crowd like, okay, we trust me, when we got off stage there was bigger roars from other groups because they had other local acts that was like huge out there, like huge artists. Like these dudes were pumping, like they can fill an arena, and but they were the local acts, you know what I'm saying. So we opened up, then they had their local act do their thing, and he kills them. And it was at that moment we start hearing like, yo, it's really more people out there than we thought it was. Like just on view, like it's all right, it's a few hundred, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple hundred people in here. They clap, they sing, you know what I'm saying? They hear your song. They had never heard our music before. So now only thing we can do is provide a good vibe. And that's what we did, and build them up for the next act. So that's what our job was, and that's what we did. And we was exquisite at it. We was getting good at it. When we heard the second act start going on, it was like, yo, that sound like 100,000 motherfuckers is out there. And then you look through the curtain, it's like, now it's different. There's lights and shit flying around. We ain't get all that. We ain't have all of the props. Niggas had fire and shit coming out of the ground and sparks coming out of the ceiling. We ain't get none of that. We got our mics, we got our DATs, and we had the stage. That was it.